I got hit with them, both legs. And those fragments went up my legs into my diaphragm. So kind of collected, bowel and small intestine and stomach and so forth and so on the way up. And but from the outside, of course, I was just bleeding from 2 leg wounds and a couple of minor other things. So guys came down, picked us up, got us back up to high ground again, and Captain Stowe found a helicopter would actually sit there. There was no place to land. So they had to put a jungle penetrator down, a cable with a hook on it, put it down, get us on it, and pick us back up again. Once the chopper had us on and he started picking us up, of course, he's stuck. He can't fly. He can't go anywhere. He's got to get us clear of the trees before we can go anywhere. And then the NVA opened up on him, and one of them, they couldn't really see the chopper because the vegetation is really thick. But of course, they could see where we were, and so they could kind of follow up the line, so to speak. And they were shooting at, I think, it was more like they could hear a chopper than they could see a chopper, but they were shooting in that direction. And at least one of those rounds, they hit the chopper a few times, but through the trees. One of those rounds hit me in the back and then went through me. I was hanging off a cable with my head kind of lolled over to the left. And the bullet hit me in the back, came out my neck, went up and hit the crew chief in the arm. And I was looking up at him, thinking to myself, how many more feet before I'm in the bird? But it had gone through trees and everything else, so by the time it hit me, it wasn't going really fast. It was more like a really hard punch than, I didn't realize it actually made a hole. And then, of course, it hit him in the arm, and it didn't go through or anything, it just kind of hit him. So they got me in the chopper, and we went off to Long Bin. We were in Cambodia. Took about an hour and 20 minutes flying flat out to get to Long Bin. Garcia made it to the hospital. He died there on the table, I found out subsequently. So I was there through the 4th of July and then got evacuated to Japan. Once I got to Japan, in no time at all, they started to feed me. And as soon as they started to feed me, I got sick, spiked a fever, my abdominal cavity blew up, skin was tight like a drum, and I was in pretty bad shape. They found out that I had at least 5 holes in my colon that they hadn't found, and when I started to eat, it was essentially like a ruptured appendix times 5. And so the protocol was go into surgery, take the iodine-soaked gauze out of the cavity, work on the infection. When the patient becomes unstable, repack the cavity with iodine-soaked gauze, go to recovery, get stable. Once you get stable, go back to surgery and do that again. And we did that for a while. I can't tell you, I know how many times, but I can't tell you how long the process was. But I do know at some point, woke up and the chaplain that was sitting next to me had the Star of David on his collar. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he says, son, we all work for the same boss ultimately. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, Dr. Wilson tells me that he can't operate on you anymore. If he does, it'll kill you. And he tells me that if he doesn't operate on you, you're going to die. And so he suggested that I come and spend time with you, and perhaps we could pray. Wreaths Across America is a project that I latched onto because I can go to a VFW, I can show them how to raise funds with Wreaths Across America. And the key is that when they reach out to the community is getting involved because they get an opportunity to recognize veterans that are buried in veteran cemeteries. They also get involved financially because they sponsor those wreaths. And while the members are telling the community about the wreaths, the members aren't shelling out the money themselves. And as a result, what happens is you end up with these little organizations and communities actually doing 2 things. They're making sure that veterans are remembered in the holiday season, and they're also raising funds community-wide, telling the story about veterans, pointing out the fact that, yeah, we served at one time. We might have done our 2 years, or we might have gone ahead and put in a whole career, but then we came back here and we sold you your car, taught your kids in school. You came to me for a loan at the bank. I'm the guy that drives that cab, And yeah, I've got another life in my past, but now I'm a member of the community, and I go to that PTA meeting or go to that soccer game with you.